basically what we're here to do is just kind of hang out, and then we'll talk about, we'll just talk with chat the whole time. And I will start by saying, is it really true? It feels weird to me that this right here, hold on, let me hold it up. Is the singular here? Is this, hold on. Is this a Reese's piece?
Yeah. Yeah. No, the singular of Reese's Pieces is Reese's Pieces. It's like deer or data.
I don't like it. I think it should be singular. But
the word is both singular and plural, unfortunately.
Reese's Pieces. This is a Reese's piece, a piece of Reese, if you will.
That's right. You have to
This
switch it when
piece
you're talking about
belongs
just
to
one
Reese.
piece of Reese.
Okay. What do you think about the double D? Huh?
Doublelift?
Doublelift and
Dat
dude Ducio. Fidel's Cash says, I can't stand Doublelift. This is my favorite choice, but I bet the team will be good. Here's what I think. I don't like Doublelift's personality personally, because he's very like, he's kind of like the kind of content creator that we tend not to like, because he trashes people like all the time, and it's a little boring to me, honestly. But then on the other hand, people think LCS is boring until you get someone who's a trash talker. So there's a lot of people that do like that personality. I obviously respect him as a player because he's one of the NA GOATs. We have both of the NA GOATs somehow on the same team. Actually, honestly, hashtag not my GOAT, because give me someday. But in the outer world, in the LCS as a whole, we got the two GOATs. So I don't know how it's going to go. I think it's very possible that Doublelift won't be that good. I don't really care. I'm excited to have him. It's better than, I thought we were just going to like scrape together some random, I don't know, Niles roll swaps to bot lane or something. I don't
Honestly,
know.
I mean,
So
I was prepared for
astonished.
Academy ADC, and like somebody's going to try and make a case. Here's why you should be really excited about this Academy ADC that you don't know about, right? Or like this kind of lesser known import ADC. So yeah, this feels like in every way it's a more promising start. I'm not by any means convinced, Cole, that this roster is infallible. Like,
no, yeah.
in a lot of ways, a roster that is generally like this can perform below what it should on paper, right? I think that's totally possible.
Yeah. First of all, I should mention I'm going to Juvie tonight. What's our thing? What are we going to say for
sent to Juvie?
I've been sent. No, we're going to get rejuvenated. I don't know. We got to work on
part of the Juvie Nation.
The Juvie Nation. I've joined Juvie Nation. I am now dual citizenship.
That's right. Casting my vote.
Juvie Nation.
As a responsible,
if Juvie Nation is Juvie Nation the country for Juvie? What is the country for Rip It? Rip It San?
Yeah. I think you got it, actually.
BZ asks, would you rather run it back or keep the 2022 roster if budget was not a concern? So running it back is doing the same thing again. So aren't you asking me if I'd rather do the same thing again or do the same thing again?
If budget wasn't a concern.
If budget wasn't. So are you just saying, would I rather have kept the roster if we could have afforded it, or do this? Is that what you're asking?
If that's the question, do this. I think it's time. It's time to move on.
That was your question.
Yeah.
Give him some instructions other than to say so in chat is wild. Living of Pod, by the way, saying we heard FBI is more of a trash talker and might be what drove Peter to head to EU, knowing he might have needed to handle JoJo-inspired Vulcan and now FBI. Wow.
I mean, that's a pretty drastic. That's like, I'm leaving the country. I'm so concerned about this. I am.
That is
an overseas.
Let me do this. BC, where are you, bud? We need you to clarify what you're saying.
He's
if you're asking if I'd rather keep the old roster or do this, I would rather do this because I think the old roster like just hit its max. I don't think we got anything out of it. Like I mean, we went to finals, but it's like we weren't getting better. There wasn't improvement. There was backsliding a bit. So that's always really concerning. And sometimes maybe you just need, like we always talk about, it's really weird how rosters don't last more than a split together. Like even championship teams change. Maybe they just need that chemical reaction of new players, new coaches, new whatever, you know, to keep things spicy and new and interesting. I don't know, but it clearly seems to me that we weren't able to compete at the level we once did. So in that case, I'm like, yep, let's rebuild. And I see this roster as actually a fun bridge to what the roster will eventually become when General Sniper is ready. So
yeah.
True Venom's asking, I wonder what's going to happen to Abadaga. Abadaga tweeted a McDonald's joke today, so it's possible he does not have a contract right now. I spilled some juvie on my new 100 Thieves 5th anniversary shirt. This is embroidered, by the way. This is the midnight shirt. I didn't know it was an embroidered logo. Garment dyed. It's kind of nice.
There you go.
But I learned a valuable lesson about apparel.
What's that?
Every time 100T does a garment dyed product, the fit is smaller.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like the midnight hoodie, I probably should have sized up on it. It's a little bit too small for me, I think. And I'm very sad because it's navy 100 Thieves hoodie is like very high on my priority list.
Yeah.
Very, very high. True Venom said, I wanted Lena to be hired by 100T. That would have been a pog move. Why would you want that?
As GM?
So she could leak things on other people's streams. Is that why you wanted that? It's not my fault. No one wants to pay for someday.
Crockpot got his take in here.
Oh yeah. Go. You want to read it?
Takes that I'm just not impressed with what I've seen with the Rooks. So tenacity, and Crockpot is our resident academy payer attention to.
Even Busio? Because
Busio?
seems like virtually everybody thinks he was the best academy player.
Crockpot, have you considered that you just don't like academy talent? Is it possible? So who are the we don't need to get too far into it, but like, I mean, it feels to me like consensus that those are the two top prospects at those positions right now. Or is there a hotter prospect? he Crockpot won the IBS league. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah, he's just done. He says, or maybe I just don't like league.
I'm retiring.
There you go.
Declining closer. I will say, look, it feels to me like closer he was also not at his peak.
Yeah,
right.
Agree.
In the same way that FBI wasn't. So I do agree. It feels like that is a question mark I have in my head. On the Liviable pod we talked about how perhaps a switch we're going to get something good here. With a switch, FBI will play at something closer to the level he has in the past. You know, change of scenery, change of lane partner. I mean, maybe with a different mid, with a different top, closer has some new life. Or maybe it's that little jungle pet that he has now that's really going to make him a new jungler. But yeah, I think that's a fair question.
Maybe closer Bjergsen synergy is going to be good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
The reason I was laughing was because Sen committed an unintentionally hilarious typo, and he said, with Someday and EG, the EG roster is stacked. The inspired Someday duo is going to be absolutely lastly. Instead of nasty. That is a great typo. That is a wonderful typo. By the way, since we mentioned it, let's shout it out again. So we did just finish up taping the Live Evil pod with Prime. So that we'll tweet a link to that episode as soon as it's out. I think he said it's going to be out tomorrow morning. So when that is out, we shall spread it so you can hear all of the things that we said to him. Mainly take care of Kind Boy. Mainly, that's what we said. That's Genesis says Closer and Bjergsen will be a better combo than Bjergsen and Santorin was. I hope so. Santorin is like, he seems to me to be like I'm going to work with you super well jungler, more so than I'm going to control the game jungler. Closer is kind of like a takeover jungler. Yeah, I've never been as high on Santorin as everybody else, but I think he's good. I've never been quite as high.
I feel like he's always been good. I don't feel like he's ever been great. I don't feel like I've ever been in my mind, right? Like he's always been a more reliable and consistent player than like a Huni, right?
Yeah.
But like never like, oh snap, we have to go up against Santorin this week. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
You know?
I know people will disagree, especially because he won a lot of things, but Gilded Nova, by the way, didn't want to pass this over. Gilded Nova said, should we talk about the Lightning McQueen thing I got and may regret? And I believe he's referring to the fact that Gilly was one of the 100 lucky 5-year anniversary Hall of Fame jacket purchasers. So he shelled out for the Golden Bear jacket at $925 plus tax and shipping. Actually, I think it's free shipping. I'm pretty sure it's free shipping. Anyway, still, he committed in a big way, and there is a big yellow lightning bolt on the back of that jacket, which is a little weird for me. I liked the jacket otherwise, but I did not really understand the yellow lightning bolt, and maybe there's something to that I missed. I don't know. But
that's
my wife would have castrated me if I bought that. So I did not. Shout out Geralt360 for the follow. Appreciate you. Send BC for the subs. Also appreciated. Dargor said not even for his FlyQuest days. Yeah, no, not even for then with Santorin. You guys got Bjergsen, so I'm a 100T fan now. Welcome to the fold. Welcome to the fold. We are so glad to not have to worry about Bjergsen Zillion on the other side of a playoff series.
The first time we lock in. Yeah, the sweat purchase.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah, I did know that Nova was saying he had sweatpants in his cart when he bought the jacket, so he also bought like $100 sweatpants.
Yeah, a leftover cart item. But I mean, when you're buying something that's one of 100, you don't take time to remove something from your cart.
Yeah, that's just
even if you catch it.
It is what it is, and then you turn around and it's a rec league prize.
Geralt. How are we going to say this name?
Geralt or Geralt?
Geralt.
Good question.
You let us know. Curious though, you've followed Bjergsen from season to season, team to team, whatever his path has been. It'll be interesting to see. In the same way, Cole, that many people followed Meteos to 100T, how many people follow Bjergsen and Doublelift to 100T? I'll be very interested to see.
I think they definitely have fans that they pull around with them. The funny thing is now those fans have to be a part of 100 Thieves, and I feel like those fans were probably pretty anti 100 Thieves in years past. So we'll see how much that draw is.
Yeah.
I bet Nate Shot was like, we got to have a lightning bolt on it. Lightning bolts are cool. Go. Nate Shot is a good dude, man. Don't do that. Don't do all of that. It's very funny though.
This is interesting. I have noticed a couple times now. Everybody's like, oh, okay, so you follow Bjergsen, so you're a TSM fan. But he was on TLS.
Yeah, but he is the TSM player, you know.
I feel like he is the TSM player, but one, literally he's not.
But one, he's not.
Factually, he isn't. But two, I feel like they had kind of a messy breakup, don't you? Didn't it seem like it? So, okay, that's the explanation.
Where are they?
He's still TSM. TSM isn't TSM. I actually like that.
Yeah. This is
like
very
that.
Insightful from Geralt. I like Geralt. I might just go with Geralt because I like that. Geralt.
We are Darkhuth. We're very late. Good to see you.
Yeah, sorry, Darkhuth.
Wait, isn't that Darkhuth from the 100 Talk Discord?
Is that from the 100 Talk podcast? Darkhuth?
I think so. I think that's the guy.
Wow.
He plays Bard. A mean Bard, actually.
I want to find the Lemon Dogs fans.
What?
Bjerg is Lemon Dogs forever. That was before our time, Jordan. Geralt can tell us more. Gerald, sorry.
Wait, are you talking about Copenhagen Wolves? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. From the very famous podcast, yes.
Lemon Dogs. They don't even have it in the Leaguepedia. It was so early in his career, it's not even on Leaguepedia. When you guys say it was his first pro team, I thought you meant maybe it was like his first like 5-stack that he like for us, Singular Wireless for us, you know?
Singular Wireless, shout out Singular Wireless. We had the greatest team ever in the telecom wars. Yes. That was really good. Wild shot, hey, really by the way. And Bible Hints from Jesus is here also.
Yo.
Esquire, sorry.
Doesn't believe in laws.
Oh, that's a long-standing Discord debate. Where Darkhuth can't restrain his hate for a certain streamer. I feel like I know so little about Genesis, and Genesis is here often, but I feel like I don't know anything about Genesis. Genesis, are you in the Discord? And if not, how come?
Have you considered stopping by?
That's an old Homestar Runner joke. My bad. I'm so
Genesis knows. He knows the. Look at this. He's got the telecom wars history.
Yeah, Singular Wireless. If you happen to know, oh, that's Tatted Sparrow. Oh, okay. Now it all makes sense. Okay. If you happen to have been following us for a very long time, you might also know about Singular Wireless.
Yeah.
He was on Ninjas in Pajamas too, with Deficio.
What do you think, Cole? I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, sorry, Sen asked a question.
No, you ask a question first. I don't want you to forget it. I love.
Here's my question.
We'll remember his.
We'll come back. Sen, we have a record of your question. We'll come back.
Deficio sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
It does.
Oh my gosh.
That's good. My gosh. That's very good.
What were you gonna ask me?
Do you expect? I'm not gonna ask my question yet. I'm gonna make a statement first. This team feels like it's almost obligatory to make content with this team.
Mm-hmm. So we surely won't.
So my question for you is, do you expect that we'll do anything different from a content game perspective?
Yeah, I think we certainly will do something different with content. I don't think we're gonna get the heist. I don't think we're doing that anymore. It just doesn't happen anymore. So, but they're gonna do something different.
There's an alternate universe. It's not even that different. It's one of those. It's like pretty close. You know, there's like a couple things happen differently. Where they're announcing that they've signed Doublelift and Bjergsen as content creators for League of Legends. Right? Like they're not that far off from it. That's not saying that they should retire and become content creators, but like you look at a guy like Hiko, right? Like he played up until the point where he's like, and now I'm a content creator, and please like and subscribe. So yeah, it feels to me like it would just be a huge missed opportunity. These guys are walking fan generators, basically.
Yeah. So you basically, if you want to have a League of Legends audience as a content creator, it's too late. Like you had to be there, right? And they were there, so they have the audiences. They're the rare players that actually have the audiences. So yeah, that's a huge thing.
Gerald, are you a Bjergsen fan of any, like? I know he streams Gerald? Sometimes.
Thank you.
Gerald. He streams sometimes, but maybe not a lot. So how much of your fandom for Bjergsen is like just because of the way he plays the game and who he is versus his presence? That's like how much of your fandom is driven by things he does off the Summoner's Rift?
And while we wait for that answer, we'll answer Sen's question. Do you think we'll end up like TL, where we have some big vets on the team, but ultimately fall short? Yes, I do. That is my prediction for this team. I think there's some other very strong rosters. The thing is, most people are in the same boat as us with money. So that means there were just basically one or two players in each position that could really pull in good contracts, and everybody else kind of in the same boat. So I think, I think we're somewhere around top 4 with this team. I can see us being, finishing similar to Team Liquid, where it kind of seems like we could have made it, but we didn't. I can see that as a result for this first split for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm way behind in chat.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll add to that is I actually kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like, I kind of said this earlier. I really don't feel like this team is a lock from a performance standpoint.
No, yeah, I don't need it all.
I think when you bring in really established players, I think the coach is actually a super important piece. And I just, like it takes a very skillful coach and leader to bring together. You have super ambitious and huge upside rookies who are just starting their career and like want to make a splash, and they've been waiting for like a year plus for this chance. and they have a very specific idea how they want to play the game, like what they're good at. And then you're going to have these vets who, I mean, Bjergsen was a coach himself.
They
right?
get their way. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to expect to have an outsized influence on how the team plays the game. So I just think you add those two things in there, it takes a lot of skill to blend those in a way that doesn't just result in people kind of like bickering with each other, honestly.
Yeah, and these, Doublelift is certainly on the list of argumentative personalities. It feels like Tenacity probably has a pretty strong personality as well. So yeah, I think there's fuel for some disagreements here. By the way, I'm seeing this a lot. People talking about FlyQuest, like FlyQuest looking very strong and stuff. I don't.
It'll be
So we've got FlyQuest is looking like, according to Travis, Impact in top, Spica, Vicia. I don't know who Vicia is. Isla in support, and then ADC not locked, but he says it's a Korean import. It could be Duckdam, Ruler, or Teddy. And like,
wow.
Yeah, so certainly at the ADC spot, but they're going to be paired with Isla, who probably is not, super impactful. Speak of Jungle is good. I don't know anything about Vicia, but I just, on paper, I'm not like, oh, wow, that's automatically going to be great. I mean, look, we once had a very big Korean import ADC added to a finals team, and it did not succeed.
Yeah.
So I think EG, C9, and TL all have rosters like as good or better than us. And I think Dignitas may even be able to compete for that if the older guys hold up. So older guys holding up is going to be the ultimate like storyline of this split. Like which one of the old guys still got it?
I mean, we someday is the example that you can still be. I don't know what the arc is. He's 25. He's 26, I think. 26. I just checked earlier. He isn't on the decline. So I don't know where that happens in league. And I don't think anybody does really. I mean, there's some, evidence to say that it happens before that, but I also don't know how much of that is just a product of the churn rate of rosters and people. It's like, I think historically the GMs for league have had an they've been incredibly distractible, right? It's like, oh my gosh, there is this young import talent. We're going to get him and we're going to win worlds. And it's like, so I think in a lot of ways, people's careers cut short, not by their like dip in performance. It's just,
by
you see
ambition.
These other players and you assume it's like, oh, he's probably like at least 40% better than the best NA talent we have. That guy's 23. He's old, washed up. Get the new guy. Get that new 19-year-old from Korea. We're going to win the whole thing. And I think that's probably wrong,
Yeah. Gerald, by the way, gave an answer. He said his first split in LCS won me over. He legit solo killed everyone when he came to NA. He was just a troll when he first came. Now he's just so professional and mature with everything he does on and off the riff. I just grew up loving everything about him. So yeah, it's a nice story. Nice storyline there. We're not, I'm not a fan of the troll personality personally, but he's not that at all anymore.
Yeah, so. I agree. I feel like he does seem to be like the constant pro, right? That's my impression of Bjergsen.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
And I like that.
Sense is my only issue with Doublelift is I think he's comfortable with retirement, so I don't think he has the same drive to compete as before. But at the same time, so I tend to think that way. At the same time, he came out of retirement. He's making plenty of money. He doesn't need to do this, and he came out of retirement because he was excited about playing with Busio. It sounds like so. I just don't know. Maybe you'll be right. I still think Doublelift is a 50-50 thing for me. Like, I think we'll have him in for the full split, but if Unforgiven is the ADC towards the end of the split, I'm not going to be like shocked or anything. I'm hoping, and I should say, I hope Doublelift pans out because I think it's going to be a more fun ride that way. And it's who was it? Was this Shinnok who made the comparison to Brett Favre when he went to the Vikings?
Mm-hmm.
And I know most people listening to this are not going to be old enough to know what the heck I'm talking about. And if they are old enough, maybe they didn't watch NFL or whatever, but I think we could be in for like that exact trajectory, which was good for about 2/3 of a season and then falls off, it didn't work for very long.
How many how many times has Doublelift been on a losing team? Like a team with a sub 500 record. I'm trying to.
Was it just the one time with TSM where it like
I
bombed?
think that might be it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's very interesting to think about.
because I that is a concern of me, right? Like if this roster doesn't get a fast start, do you get into it? Is it like maybe then he starts to question his decision of coming out of retirement, right? Like if you're in the slog
Yeah,
of like we're grinding out every week, it's brutal. We're fighting hard for a win against Immortals. Like at that point, maybe it's like I could be making more money if I just spent less time practicing with these bozos and
yeah,
streaming.
yeah.
Right.
Actually, I was just thinking too. I was like, actually, I will be surprised if Doublelift gets rotated out because I don't think Doublelift is going to be like, yeah, I'll play Academy. I think it's like if they're like, hey, dude, we got to demote you to Academy. We're going to promote Unforgiven. He's going to be like, I am either not playing or I'm playing LCS. I could see that being the case. And so we're locked in for a split of Doublelift starter. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. This is a good point, though, that Dargor makes too, right? He's been living in Champs.
Hi, Dargor, by the way.
Hi, Dargor. Yep. And I mentioned this on Live Evil Pod too, but he has been, and I feel like he gets super pissed when he has a bad team and or a bad lane partner. I haven't watched him in a little bit, but I noticed that when I was watching him. So it's like, I don't think if you are that level of player and you have to be a super high level player, whether or not you think he was the best ADC, like you don't have the career that he had if you don't have an unbelievable drive to compete. It just isn't possible.
Yep.
It just isn't possible. And the fact that he retires and he spends his time grinding in the most competitive non-professional League of Legends you possibly can, that tells you that he's not playing ARAMs with all the celebrities he can possibly find, right? Like that's not his game now. So I think there's probably something to that. It would be much easier for him to find a less stressful and kind of lower demand version of League of Legends to play.
Yeah.
He's still in it.
Yep. Shout out Sly Penguin, by the way, who's up way past his bedtime to be here with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Good to see you. Hi, Morali, by the way. Let's see.
Sly's he's got an hour on us, though.
Yeah, that was the MJ thing was way different. I don't think you can make that comparison, honestly. I get why, but I don't think that carries over. There's just different personal situations there. Though I guess in a sad way, it does kind of mirror because wasn't Doublelift's brother killed?
Yeah.
And MJ's father was killed. I mean, Doublelift didn't retire at that time. MJ didn't retire at that time. I don't know, there are maybe some more parallels to that. Extremely sad, man. Let's see. Wow, I'm so far behind in chat. Crockpot's like Brett to the Vikings.
Very sorry.
When Doublelift is bad, he usually gets subbed out before the end of the season. Yeah, I feel like at this stage in his career, he's not gonna tolerate that, I just don't know. Every team he was on, 100T always struggled playing against him. Yeah, well, his talent follows talent too. Our new friend Gerald says Doublelift went to TL one time just to get them out of relegation. I don't think any pro player wants to lose or lacks the drive. They're competitive by nature and always wants to win. And he seems to have that dog more than a lot of people. So
yes,
that is a good sign. Hates Thresh players, loves Twitch right now. That's weird.
I'm gonna actually start watching.
His brother killed his mom, is what it was. Oh gosh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
That is so freaking sad. I'm sorry.
It was right before. I feel like it was right before a big series.
Yeah, wasn't it before playoffs or something? I remember it being like, wow, he's playing,
Yeah, that was super, super sad.
Oh man. Well, certainly hope for a good split for him. And not just because because he's us now, but because we want LCS to have those things, so.
Oh, finals. That's what it was. Yeah.
Blah.
Man, I do hope I've always respected both Doublelift and Bjergsen, right? Like there are some players. This is gonna sound way worse than I want it to, but Like there are some old pros. I'm like, it's probably time. It's probably time. I really don't feel that way.
Hoonie.
It's definitely time.
I
It
know
is
who
past
Jordan's
time.
thinking of.
It's that time. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like both from a it's almost hard to describe, but like I just don't feel like they are out of the game. And maybe it's the mentality, maybe it's the their ability to still impact games.
Mhm.
Like Doublelift still kind of he brought out some painful picks.
Yeah. Thanks for the sub, Racer, by the
So
way. 28 months of Racer.
28 months.
It's the closer Santorin difference. Interesting. Well, we'll get a chance to look at that. So I think Bjergsen's going to look a lot better because closer will be the one calling the shots early. This will alleviate a lot of pressure from him and allow him to be more aggressive this year. I don't really see Bjergsen as an aggressive player, but maybe that is situational.
Yeah, I don't really either. I view him as like just an all-time great team fighter. That's kind of how I think about it. Like both his ability to play team fights and his ability to impact the game in ways that aren't dependent on his itemization, right? Like
Yeah.
there are so many times in games that it literally doesn't matter what he has in his inventory. He either makes a huge play or just has it's like we cannot solve this guy's stupid champion pool.
Yeah.
He plays these champs that just don't, like he brings so much utility to a team in certain compositions that they've rolled out over the years. It's just hard to deal with him. And it feels a little bit like a lot more people are playing Zillion more recently. That's always been a pick for him.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. He brings that level of dynamism to a team where it's not the only way you benefit from having him is if he can get ahead, right? Like it's not that. That's not how he plays.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, it's like he's never quite out of it.
Yeah.
So
or even if you think he is, he's going to show up with this crazy ult in a key team fight, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, there's the game.
Or just stalls long enough so that Zillion chrono shift or whatever it's called is up every like 5 seconds,
Yeah, honestly, yeah. The cooldown.
And we locked in Scion, so
the cooldown is as long as the effect lasts. Well,
oh god.
It's a free GA. Okay.
Trivium says 100 Next is gone apparently. Yeah, we talked about that briefly on the pod with Live Evil. That does. I'm guessing that would be one of the our vision is different now points with Papa Smithy, if that is indeed the case. Or maybe they're doing something just not in that specific league. I don't know. But it sounds like we're not running an amateur team anymore, which is kind of sad.
Well,
but
there are ecosystem changes. Did you mention that like there isn't really I didn't read the super closely, but they've done more changes to the academy and amateur system.
Yeah.
The Salt League. Yeah, thank you. So maybe that means the Evil Genius Prodigies is gone now too. So I'm wondering if it's just like the format change makes it less feasible to have two teams, I think.
Maybe we should call our old friend Kelsey Moser and see if she wants to come talk to us about it.
She can't. She's contractually obligated to only
not interact with us.
Do not interact. Yeah, that was
in her contract. You leave those 100 Talk guys alone. I don't want to see you fraternizing with them. What are the chances?
Honestly, she's great, and I think wherever she goes, obviously she brings a ton of value. I thought the Academy broadcast was so good in her tenure. I really hope they can keep that momentum up.
Yeah, they do. They need to like just shift generations already. Like I love the people that we've had for a long time, but we've had them for a long time, and like at this point, it just feels to me like we need to shed the old people to grow. It's just kind of holding back at the same point because we're the same thing we always are.
Yeah. Like new creative direction, and I don't mean like more skits.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't want memes all the time. Like
no,
just I don't want LEC rap battles. My gosh, so embarrassing, dude. So embarrassing.
So like they just need to lean into what makes League unique.
Yeah.
And do that. do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Racer said this roster will come down to how ready Busio and Tenacity truly are. All of 100 Talk knows the potential they have, but now we need to know if they can hit that potential. And yeah, I think that's the whole point of this year. Honestly, it's almost like the names of the legacy guys are a distraction, because I really think we are still looking towards the future with what we've got. And so, yeah, it will be all about that. And along the way, someone brought this up to me, I think in our Discord today. I forget exactly who and where, but I was saying, like, basically fans are going to need to know and be prepared for the growing pains. Like, hey, Tenacity and Busio aren't going to come out of the gates perfect, so we need to give them a leash and not, after 3 weeks be like, oh man, this didn't work out. It takes time. And 100 Talk is always about patience, right? And we got to keep that up, and we have to be examples to the rest of the fandom in that respect.
Well, I don't want to draw too strong a parallel here, but like Danny and JoJo weren't Danny and JoJo that everybody knows and loves their first split, right? I mean, they were good, but they weren't champions, and they didn't show up and start making these all-time great LCS plays in like the 4th week they were in the league. If I'm remembering right, I think, like, wasn't their first split they finished like 6th or 7th? I know they made a change. They brought in Inspired, obviously, huge difference.
It was kind of weird, I think.
But
even when they won for the first time, they went 9-9 during this season.
Yeah, thanks for pulling up the actual numbers. So
that's I have them up here, my friend.
That's
I didn't look that up.
Pulled them up in the old
noggin,
the old Rolodex there. I think that's important to remember, right? Yeah. Like, you can still be a great team without finishing first, and you can still lose games. And like, I'm sure that in some of those losses, they didn't look very good, and get better, right?
Yeah. Cryptic pointing out that was part of John Robinson's video that he did with Milk. So yeah, I think we have to keep that in mind. And you know how notoriously good the league community is at keeping those things in mind and being impatient. So
yeah,
gonna be a fun one to watch. I'm past Crockpot says I'm past growing pains. I think we will be bad. Come on, man, a little bit of positivity never killed anybody. Yeah. But I mean, I get it.
We haven't had a growing pain yet because we haven't played any games. You can't claim growing pains until you've had a painful moment. And who knows? We could win every game all the way until Worlds 2023 final. We could go undefeated to the World Championship. You never know.
There's a quote from the critically acclaimed movie Signs from M. Night Shyamalan, where he says, Caroline, I know you're making a point. I just don't know what it is. And that's what I'm thinking of as I'm listening to you say that.
My point is,
we could go all the way and win every game all the way to Worlds.
It's a little bit premature to say that I'm tired of the growing pains, because we haven't even announced the roster.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but we don't know how the growing pains will be. They could be minor. They could be major.
Yeah. Okay.
The time to be tired of the growing pains
is when they
certainly
happen.
Not yet. It's not yet.
He says, you say this to me, but I was the only ultra positive person about playoffs and Worlds. That's true. I think you predicted an undefeated Worlds run for 100T. So known for your accurate predictions. Way to point that out, Crockpot. We do love Crockpot. We definitely love Crockpot. We're just having a fun time with him. If 100T wanted to dominate 100% Worlds locked roster, they would have kept someday. So this says one of two things. Couldn't afford someday. Bingo. They really do believe in tenacity. I'm scared it's the first one. I mean, I think it's both, though. Those things can both be true. Hey, we're keeping tenacity because we think he can be a good prospect. Someday is the better player right now, and we can't afford him. I don't think it's that like dramatic. It's just, hey, we would like to keep somebody. Because I mean, think about it. Tenacity was supposed to be a 6-man roster situation. Someday played so well. Like Papa said this. He was like, someday played so well, you just can't take a player out of that rhythm, So that's why the tenacity thing just kind of went by the wayside. So I think both things can be true simultaneously. Genesis says, low key happy seeing our champ pools change. I adore and love and respect somebody, but he had 4 champs on rotation. It felt like that at times. It did feel like that at times, but he's very effective with those 4 champs.
Yeah.
And we cannot be worse than the Bang rosters. What Sly Penguin says. That's a great reminder.
I mean,
is it wrong that I still really like Bang, by the way? I still really like that guy. It did not go well.
A big person. You're bigger than the record. We haven't talked about this yet, but I think that the meta is going to be considerably shaken up for next season. Like the jungle changes feel pretty big. If we think about how much of a change like Unleashed TP brought to how the team played together.
Yeah.
And like the turret plates.
And you're right, because Fart Drake's coming back.
The Fart Drake is back for 1. And 2, it just based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm reading, I looked through our Discord conversation about jungle and how like that's a pretty big change. It feels like a pretty seismic change.
Is that the crab change?
Well, it's basically like
how closely I follow patch notes.
So chat will start explaining it probably before I can effectively do so. But basically it's this. Jungle is it's not about your like micro, it's more about the macro. So like it's much easier to clear. You have a jungle pet. You have a literal jungle pet that follows you around the jungle. This is going to sound like I'm
getting trolled. I'm definitely getting trolled.
I promise you I'm not making this up. And it levels up as you kill more monsters, and eventually it becomes.
Bro, it's not Pokemon. This is Pokemon Scarlet that you're talking about.
Here's Crip. He's backing me up. But the thing that's crazy and what people are, and I haven't followed this, so I'm sure that the pros have played enough games to actually start weighing in on what this means. But you can basically clear a jungle now with just autos. It's not as much about like, do you have the exact, like, is your jungle clear 204 or is it 207? And if it's 207, you're going to get invaded and killed because he's playing Udyr, who has a 201 clear speed. And by the time you're finishing up your blue, Udyr will be there to steal it and kill you. It's like, it's a lot less about that, I think. So that's big. Like, that's a really big, because the pro game is so much about counter jungling and like clear paths and all of that. I just don't know how much that's going to be part of.
But the real game is about fun.
But the real game is about friendship and evolving your Pokemon.
And getting badges from the gyms.
And so here are things to think about, right? And Crip is bringing this up. Every champ can jungle now. So you think about like that is massive for the meta. You think about the different team compositions you can bring, right? If you literally can clear the jungle with any champ, you can build a team that has no jungler as we've conventionally thought of junglers, right? Like the kit, so far as the kit goes. You could make your jungle another support, basically. It could be an enchanter jungle. It's crazy, and it's smarter people than me will have a much better understanding of what this means for the pro game.
It means everything's different now. It's just like you might as well. It doesn't matter who your jungler is anymore. From a player perspective, it's like, okay, so we don't know who's good at jungle anymore.
I mean, I think it does a couple of things, and again,
that means closer's going to be better, to be honest.
So I think people who are like, he plays Viego. He's great at Viego. I think a little bit of that is he's probably got a more comfort on playing effectively a wide number of champs. Probably oversimplifying this, but you think about that, like that was one of his best. Funnel, please no funnel. Like it will be abused, and people will find horrible things.
This is going to be a bad year of League of Legends, huh?
The game is so far from solved right now. Like it's so much further away from being solved. I mean, maybe this is just them trying to say, hey, look, you guys think that there's like a set meta and you can only play 5 champs in the jungle viably. How about 150? Try that.
162 now is what we're up to.
162. Give it a shot.
Dude, I think we've talked about this before, but you're just going to need to be a champ specialist from here on out. It's like the roles are kind of that already, where it's like, okay, I play this lane, so I play these champions. But it's gonna be even more. Like, so many freaking champions in the game, man. You're just gonna have to pick. And maybe teams will have to have people on the bench for metas. You know, it's like, all right, well, that's our
Yeah.
Lucian player. Put the Lucian player in, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If only
I
there
don't
was
know.
money. I
But
think
then they'll like do a mini rework, and I feel like then your one trick is gone.
yeah,
You
right.
know.
Gosh, Riot. I mean, I get it. The pro scene is very small compared to everything else. Racer, by the way, said, every now and then I go back and watch Ryu destroy CLG on Akali. Now, every now and then I'll have to go back and watch Someday destroy EG on Tryndamere. All good memories. All good memories. Let's see. A lot of, tank meta stuff. Don't like that. Guess what, 100 Talk Pod? We have a Lucian player. That's right. The old Lucian one trick. Can't wait.
Doublelift?
And
People
Busio
call him
roams a
Lucian one trick.
lot. What else do we need to cover? It's Free AgencEve, everybody. What should we
I mean,
cover?
are you surprised? So is Unforgiven confirmed coming to us, or is he in the rumor category still? He's still in the rumor category, right?
Nothing for us is in like rumor category. It's reported. Everything is in the reported category now. So it's still like, you can't do anything until it's the deadline, or it's until free agency opens. But we are as confirmed as you can be,
Yeah.
without
I mean,
that happening.
I almost wonder if that was so the way that the Unforgiven thing panned out. I almost wonder if that was like a, hey, we're not feeling like Doublelift is possible or going to happen.
Yeah.
And here is our move. And then we got the move, and then we got Doublelift or something like that.
It might be, but we talked about this like in the Discord where it's like Unforgiven, first team All Pro Unforgiven had to be passed on by every LEC team and every LCS team other than us. Like, he did not find a starting position. And
I mean, it could
that
also
is
be
pretty worrying. Like, there has to be
cost?
some reason. Like he brought him over?
Yeah.
He's not coming from that team, is he?
I think they're both mad, right?
Was Unforgiven mad?
Yeah.
Dude, I hate LEC. I don't watch it.
Somebody in chat will.
There's a giant video coming explaining all, according
both
to.
mad.
He was okay.
I see it as, I think it's actually more likely. I mean, it's possible. Like, I don't watch LEC super closely. It's possible the dude's toxic and that he.
Well, all EU players are toxic, so.
I don't. Come on. But we know for sure that's a thing.
Toxic
coach,
EU players, yes, is definitely a thing.
A coach brings a player along with him, right?
Perhaps he has a toxic history in EU Sulky. There we go. Who doesn't? It's in the water over there.
Who? Okay, my honest question: isn't EU pretty known for a toxic solo queue experience?
They're known for a toxic culture, period, man. Gosh.
Well, either way, I mean, I guess it seems strange to me that he is coming over and playing Academy. That is unexpected. Like, it feels like when you see an import of that caliber, like, not knowing a ton of LEC, like, it could be that he's the worst player on Mad and everybody.
The thing is,
but like,
sorry, go ahead and finish. I always interrupt you. I'm sorry. I'm a jerk. I'm a bad friend. It sounded like you were crying. You've been waiting for years for me to say that.
I was. It broke out. I couldn't hold it back anymore. Your toxic EU attitude has finally broken me down. I didn't want to say anything, but I've suspected for a long time that you're actually an EU guy.
I do have a very German last name.
And you did have a specific IGN for a while. So,
Le Clover, you mean?
Le Clover.
Le Clover.
So yeah, look, maybe he is bad. But it just feels like the pedigree there, the name, the team, It's not at all what I think of when I'm like, and our academy is unless it's, I guess, kind of like a Luger thing where, but we're not even at our import limit. So it truly
Yeah.
is just like we think that you're not as good as Doublelift, and so you'll play second
Yeah, that's the
fiddle
thing,
here for a
because
while.
look, if we weren't sure about Doublelift happening or not, and so that's why we talked to him and made that deal. It's all verbals. Like we could have been like, oh, actually we got Doublelift, and that's that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we didn't
Right.
have to go through with it.
Right.
So I just don't know. So to me, it seems like he did not find a starting spot in either league, and that is very weird.
Well, I mean, Matt didn't. What did their worlds? They got into groups, but then didn't, or no, they didn't make it out of groups. They got bumped.
They got
in
bonked.
plans.
Yeah.
And they did very poorly in playoffs. So yeah, I'm sure that their team is looking for a full reset. They had the first team all pro team, and they couldn't even make it out of plans. So,
But if you're an LEC team, meat's on the menu, boys. You know it's happening. You're gonna go swoop in and grab some of those all pros.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. It's just weird. Can we just agree it's weird, whatever the reasons
It
are?
is. It is weird. I don't understand it.
Man, people are calling back for bring back the Clover.
I think it should.
What was the bet I lost, by the way? I can't remember what the bet was that I lost.
It was that the Rip It social media team plays Warzone.
Oh yeah. Man, I felt so sure. I felt so freaking sure. There was no way I was wrong about that. That's the only reason I could have agreed to that bet. Oh my gosh. That was so I still don't fully believe the answer. It's like,
They just forgot about
they
the other
just
guy
had
who
a sub
plays
that day.
all day at his
They had
desk.
some- they forgot he works there because all he does is play Warzone.
That's right. Oh, Bill? I mean, yeah, he plays Warzone all the time, but it doesn't work. He works here?
He's not an official Rip It Warzone player?
He collects a paycheck from us? Never seen that guy work.
Speaking of Rip It, I was one of the winners of the new flavored competition, so I get apparently, according to them, there is a crate is a strong word. There's a case of I think it's called Candy Man is the new flavor. Like cotton candy flavor, which would probably be my last pick of the new flavors to try, but then again, I won, so who cares?
Yep.
Can't wait to try it. It. Let's see. County has a higher chance of getting promoted to make worlds than playing ERLs. Oh, you're talking about upsets, other options. Yeah. Plus you get paid more, I'm sure, in Academy. Unforgiven, I'm sorry. Insert EU player. I'm so
you didn't say this for that
man.
long about Abadaga.
I'm
Yeah,
so
you came around pretty quick to him.
Well, because I always liked him. It's the same thing. If we would have gotten Larson, I'd been like, let's go. I was pushing for like Larson on the dream list back in the day.
Yeah. Turns out you were right.
Yeah, I was very right. So eat it, because I know there are a lot of people in chat right now who disagreed with me. Anyway, that's beside the point. Gosh, imagine if Alfari came back to LCS. Oh. What else do we need to cover, man?
We gotta talk about. All right, look at Unforgiven. He is 22. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am anticipating a similar. So you look at the pictures of Abadaga when he first came to NA. It's a similar vibe where it's like I'm expecting this dude to get the full like LA, NA
vibe
overhaul of his vibe. I'm calling it now. He's going to play Academy for a while. He's going to make his debut in the LCS looking like a different dude.
Because if you look at pictures of Abadaga now, I'm not making the LaClover bet on this.
If you look at pictures of Abadaga now compared to when he was announced, it's like that's not the same dude. That's a different dude.
Yeah.
And in part, I think it's like he actually like he has like stubble now. It's like he's a few years older.
Got a little bit of a tan going.
Got some tan. He's in the nice LA.
He's been outside.
Sunshine. Yeah.
For once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I'm calling it.
What if we brought back 100T Ryu? That would be kind of cool.
Wait, Alfari is in Brazil?
Yeah, I heard that too. That's where he was ended up because he was like not going to play with Vitality, but he was going to go to LADAM or whatever they're calling
No
it these
way.
days. Yeah, I heard that.
Oh,
So
wait, Vitality, the super team that never was.
yeah, kind of like Team Liquid when Alfari was on it.
Oh my gosh,
Super
dude.
team that never was. Who do you think is going to be most punchable? NA asking the important questions is Fidel's cash flows.
Always.
Most punchable NA is probably going to belong to Solo still, right? I mean, he's rumored TSM staying with Solo. Gosh, he's got to be most punchable, right? Is there an EU player that's going to swoop in and steal that dubious honor?
I like Solo in this most recent split. He actually had a hero arc. Like he came in and he sort of redeemed TSM. Could you ever believe that sentence would be something you could say and not be
Come on.
kidding?
Let's be honest here. Redeemed TSM.
Yeah, they had
Redeemed
an
them to
actual
what place? Where did they
I don't know.
finish?
They won didn't they win a playoff series? Like that team was bad. Straight up.
Well, the whole org is dumpster fire, so
Yes. So he is the least dumpster fire of TSM.
just
I'm not
I don't
surprised
want
they
to
keep him.
hear you sing glories of him.
It's so weird, Cole. I don't have the same disposition towards Solo that you do, but
Well, how
objectively,
can I change that?
he made that team a much better team and they had a better result.
Let's see.
That's weird.
They
You
beat
know who he replaced?
FlyQuest in the first round.
You know who he replaced? This is why.
Your
This is,
favorite.
this is why. Because Solo came in and replaced Huni. And
We
look,
got to have the battle of our personal distasted players.
oh, so Solo is a
You
paycheck
won.
stealer?
You won.
Timeout. That is just an objectively false statement when you compare it to the person who was in the seat before him. If Solo is paid even a fraction of what Huni was paid to do better, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
Although maybe not, because they were in the weakest possible negotiating position an org could possibly be.
Great point. I will also say that also having a great point is Crockpot, who I don't know how I forgot. Most punchable NA is already spoken for in Fudge.
Oh,
There is
I
no
forgot
way it's
he's
not
still-
Fudge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's true.
Good call, Crockpot. Thank you for bringing me back to earth. It's been
You got that one.
3 weeks with no League of Legends, and I've already forgotten. Ooh.
Yeah.
Crip said I could
was
get
good.
Jordan on my side if his name changed to Huni Solo. So is that the bet? Jordan has to be like Huni, #1 Huni fan.
Solo. Oh, wait.
Like Han Solo, but Huni Solo.
Uh,
Racer said, I'm not a prey on people's downfall person, but with that, I say I actively prey on Fudge's downfall.
bro, if Fudge keeps up the I am the North American GOAT storyline, if he dares to continue to say that this split, like somebody has to have a couple of words with him. Somebody's got to tell him. This ain't it. It's just ain't it.
Oh my gosh. I thought most punchable was Sven. Sven he's a perennial top 5 punchable. But on most punchable, he's rarely up at the top for most punchable. Ever since Closer got the Lee Sin insec on him, he just hasn't been the same. We won. We defeated him. He got knocked down a few pegs.
He was humbled like for years, right? It was a multi-split humbling that occurred.
His punishment lasted across splits. He beat Sven so hard
self-imposed.
he had to roll swap. That's right.
Yeah.
Fidel said, I'm so glad I asked you. That's what I'm saying, Fidel. This is a great conversation you've started. It's like the only way to get us to hate on people. Because we're very measured otherwise. But when it comes to most punchable NA, I'm very protective about that concept.
It is. Also, do you remember when we're just cutting loose now? This is off season. We're officially in off season time. Do you remember when Cloud9 did they did their tweet or announcement video and they're like, we're running it back. And then I swear, like 3 weeks later, they're like, introducing the new Cloud9. I was like, bro, it was weeks. What happened to you? It wasn't that long at all.
You know, there's a limit to the trash we can talk about the LCS champions, the reigning LCS champions. But you're right. You're right. Easiest prediction.
Hard audible.
Easiest prediction I ever made was LS getting fired, and you timed it to the week, right?
I'm not talking about that one. You know, I'm not talking about that specific one, right?
What
they did a? It was like after the season or like preseason. It was this. I think this time period. They were like, "We're excited to announce we're gonna have the same team," and then I swear they didn't. They didn't have. So to me, it just feels like, why would you make the video if there was a chance you wouldn't? Just hold on.
Because that happened awfully quick.
Yeah.
Crockpot also, man, Crockpot's making some really good points. He has Max Waldo in his most punchable top 5. And I think his punchability is under review right now. So I think that, yeah, we should talk about that at some point. From the limited experience I have of Max Waldo.
I actually like Berserker. I
like him.
Swagger.
I like him too. I hate playing against him. I hate him when we're playing him.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think
But I have a respect for players that I hate playing against because of how good they are instead of how annoying they are. He is not, to me, an annoying dude. He just plays really well.
It's just frustrating to play against him. How is Gilhoto not top 5? Gilhoto had a minor redemption story. He ended up being okay in the end. But I'm with you, Racer. I still remember that Kays has a redemption arc with us because I clowned him so freaking hard and he took it like a champ, and we made up.
This is a fascinating list that people have.
I think if there's anything proprietary about 100Talk, it's probably one, Trust the Papa, which sadly we have to figure that out. By the way, I still have Trust the Papa as like the background everywhere.
I think we can release it to Creative Commons for use.
And then most punchable NA is also. Those are our 2 proprietary league concepts, I think. Who is it? Like the
Night
horrible summoning insight people claim Dade award, right? So if most punchable is probably our Dade award.
Yeah.
Oh, Wild Shot, do you have the banner? We got the juice is what they're saying for Jungle Juice.
Yeah. I mean, are we settled on that? That's
confirmed? I don't know. I don't know where that landed. I'm not sure about the juice thing. We got to figure out something though, because Joe deserves
something with bathtub. You know, like a bath. You don't know about this?
No, I must not.
In some parties, you make. Let's see if chat knows about this. How hip is chat? The jungle juice is made in the bathtub. You get like the big. Did y'all ever go to college? Get the big, like Gatorade thing, and you dump it into the bathtub.
Imagine
it's like
drinking out of someone's bathtub, especially a college male's bathtub.
No, you put a clean tarp in it.
Oh my gosh. Even a tarp. When a tarp is the symbol of cleanliness, you've got problems.
I'm telling you, man. Look, there are things that if you could pay me a lot of money and I wouldn't voluntarily redo them. I don't think I ever had jungle juice out of a bathtub. But that was the legend of jungle juice. It's a legendary drink.
That is so gross sounding to me. Rasamau, shout out, first time chatter. Medios is top 2 most punchable personally for the back-to-back 100T screwed me Tyler 1 Rage compilation. So we have to define the parameters on who's eligible for the most punchable list, because I think you have to be active. You have to be active, or else Medios would for sure be at the top of the list.
I actually don't know if I've ever seen that Rage compilation.
Oh, you haven't seen Tyler 1 Rage videos? That's where he made his bread and butter. I think he's just like memeing. He's active on stream for me to do an all-time list. All-time most punchable. I don't think we can do this, guys. Look,
the Hall of Fame.
As much as we like to talk about this, Jordan and I don't like to be negative haters.
No.
We really don't. That's not our brand.
Most punchable is the one exception.
Yeah, that is our one exception because we have to have that. But I don't necessarily want to make a YouTube video. Check out my most punchable NA list because
this is cool. This is why this is why most punchable is still on brand. It's because most punchables typically reserved for those who are spreading negativity.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it is true.
It's a counter to the negative and kind of toxic. Typically, I find as a most punchable observer, your list tends to focus on those who are harshing the LCS vibe.
That is absolutely the key component of being on most punchable. Maybe we should codify the stat for this, but yeah, I definitely that is the mode here.
Like
Racer asking about 2019 G2, and like that's it. The thing with G2 2019 G2 is they took a humbling and like let it happen. Like they didn't make apologies or anything. Like at the end of that split, they're like, "Dang, we got treated." You know, they kind of like. They kind of owned it and earned a little bit of respect from me. And to be honest, I always had more beef with G2 fans than with G2 players themselves. So
yeah.
But I would put that era of G2 vibes way above Fudge. That I could not stand that. What's the criteria for being punchable? This is not Fidel's hijacked the whole stream here. Gerald, the real
like,
criteria for the most punchable list is Cole doesn't like him. That's really the criteria.
Like Bjergsen never been on the most punchable
he's never been on the most punchable.
Doublelift has been on the most punchable list.
Yeah. But what Jordan said is really what it's mostly been about. Like we don't like people who talk a bunch of like crap all the time and are just like negative all the time. Yeah. A little bit of trash talk is okay. It's fine. But if that's constantly your personality and you do it, quote, for the memes, right? It's like, oh, I'm just saying that for the memes. Like that kind of thing. Like, come on, man. Well, I hate that entire attitude. I hate the social media thing. Yeah. It's just.
I also think for me, it's when I think the most common place you'll see it in the LCS is in like the post-game interviews, right? Where it's like people view it as, this is my chance to make a name for myself. I gotta maintain this really tough personality. Like actually,
it's
in
so
Worlds
forced.
this year, it's so forced, so uncomfortable, so unnatural. You can banter and trash talk in ways that feel much more organic. And the players who do that, like Doublelift, like he tends to do that in ways that it's less canned, right?
Yeah.
It's like he'll
more
make like an offhanded comment like, I think everybody actually sucks this year. Like it's not a good year for ADC, right? Or whatever.
Hating comes naturally to him. It doesn't feel forced.
And I have a good example of this from recent times. And it was during Worlds this year. I feel like the broadcast actually talked about this a lot. And it was JoJo and his like pre-game all chat, right? And like the I think it was JoJo. I'm 99% on this, but let me know if I'm wrong. Who would do like the pregame, like he would just be roasting people, and trying to get in their heads and making a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, like he was doing that probably like maybe he got tipped off at some point that the broadcast was saying it, but he's doing that because that's his game, right?
Yeah,
like he is going to emote spam you. He is going to taunt you. He's going to dance, like he's going to spam, right? I think that's actually much preferable to the like, I'm playing to the crowd now, and I'm going to say I'm the best player ever.
Right. We made this exact point about Fudge and JoJo during playoffs. I don't know if you remember this. We talked about it because it was like JoJo, it's natural to him. He's got the swagger thing about him. It doesn't feel forced. Fudge, no, it feels forced and it's he feels opportunistic with it. So it's a real thin subjective line, but that's where we're at with this, to be honest. And we've had an entirely too long conversation about this. I gotta say,
this is the only time of the year that we can have this conversation. So thank you, Fidel, for inviting us to dig in.
We definitely appreciate having that conversation.
That actually, Wild Shot makes a good point. That actually might be true.
Yeah. Don't call yourself the GOAT. Okay.
Especially not at like the beginning of your career.
Gosh.
Bro.
Anyway, so I guess we'll have to make most punchable NA rankings later. one final question for the chat then. Should we release this as a pod? Like, should we put this on audio? Or like, did you enjoy this enough for us to do that, or should we just leave it? I don't know. We didn't have plans to put this out as a pod, but we've gone way longer than we thought. Are you surprised that the kind boy is now an evil boy? He will never be an evil boy. And no, I'm not surprised. EG always wants to be us, so I'm not surprised that they went and got our franchise player.
Someday, if he tries to do the live evil thing, it's just not.
Yeah, like think about if he had the exact meme that I just killed everyone meme, and they were like live evil. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
it doesn't work for that to be like, oh, the brand. You know, it's like it worked because he's not that. You know, yeah, he's always ours. No one can convince me anything. Even KT fans can't convince me that someday belongs to them.
Cole, I don't even know if I want to open this door. Do you want to have one more topic, or do you want to wrap it up?
Sure, one more topic. Why not? I got a little bit of juvie left.
I didn't follow this super closely, but like the Vulcan talking about someday, because when I think live evil, I think Vulcan. Like I feel like he is very naturally a live evil spokesperson, and I think it works. Like I like that.
I don't like him
for him,
but I agree that it fits.
Yeah, like it comes naturally. It feels effortless. Like he does it. Unlike someday, right? It would be very strange if somebody started to try and do that. The whole thing with Vulcan and like the how much any players want it, how hard they're willing to work, all that kind of stuff. I'm actually interested to hear your perspective on like because I've always been in the camp of like you can't burn out, you got to take time, you know, you got to balance. It's actually a pretty long season compared to a lot of different sports, and like the whole like there is something to the esports aspect of it where players will work all day at the office and then go home and work all day at home.
Yeah,
that feels different from traditional sports. So I don't know, just if you had any thoughts on like what do you make of the idea that either players should, because then I think the counterpoint, right, is like, look, if you want to look at the goats of other like the greatest for basketball, right, like what is LeBron's work ethic, how hard does he work, how much time does he take off, right? And I don't know, I think it's an interesting thought. I just don't know about.
I think that the only outcome of this conversation is for us to talk about why esports is not a healthy scene. Because when it comes down to it, like if you compare it to traditional sports, we know that there is a very small fraction of players who are going to be good enough to eventually make it to the pro leagues. And of those players, the ones that succeed the most are the ones who dedicate themselves to it in the most insane way. You know, that is by and large the case. It's not 100% holding, but the people who live and breathe it, you know, they tend to be the ones that are the most successful at it. Now, so if we know that there's a huge difference between the top player in the NBA and the 100th best player in the NBA, you know, where they're basically incomparable, and most of it comes down to work ethic. Well, you want to apply that to a video game scale? There are a lot more people playing video games than playing professional sports. You know what I mean? The grind percentage. It's just like, if you want to distinguish yourself, that's what you have to do. And so it ends up becoming, do you have, like, when will you burn out? What's your breaking point? And whoever naturally has the highest breaking point is the one that succeeds. And guess what? That's the only way for us to feel entertained by this, is by players pushing the envelope and going insane. And so if we watch esports, we're willingly signing up to patronize the people who are the most abusive to their own mental health. That's basically what we're looking at here. And so it's kind of like a ugly picture where we are the cause of this, you know, in our own way.
The fact that there are fans who are demanding high levels of play drives.
And you're playing League of Legends, 162 champs. How well do you know those champs? How well do you know the items that are constantly changing? It's like they are signing up for this. And so, like it or not, like if you want mental balance, good for you, because you'll be overall healthier, but there is someone who's going to outwork you and as a result be better than you. And so
Right.
sometimes if you make certain lifestyle choices, you're just not going to make it. And that's
Hmm.
the way it is. And it's the same way in like the business world, you know? Like if you want to make it in the entertainment industry, guess what? You better not hope to have a family also. You better not
Right.
hope to have a weekend also. You
Hmm.
know, it's like working 24/7 basically at these things. You don't
Yeah.
have time to keep yourself mentally, emotionally healthy. And probably not a surprise then that media stars are like the most unbalanced, unhealthy people,
Right.
right?
Right.
There's not a lot of mental health, you know, at the top levels of media and business and sports, right?
Right.
It's a difficult
Well,
balance, and I think it's actually an impossible balance. So if
right.
we are patrons of esports by watching with our eyeballs, and we are basically like the root concept is how far can humans push their own limits?
Yeah.
That's what we're watching.
It's an interesting. I'm glad I asked because it's a really interesting way to look at it, and I think you can kind of take that through. Like, when was the last time you ever heard a professional in this kind of environment, right? One that is by nature competitive. The only way you get to be a professional league player is by being better than 99.9999% of everyone else who plays.
Yeah.
And when was the last time? It wouldn't even make sense if you heard that person say, "Yeah, I play about 4 to 5 games over 3 days, but I want to push it too hard." It's like, no, no, no. That just doesn't even make sense logically. And so there is this weird like logical switch that we flip, which is like, well, we want them to be healthy and well, but we also want them to win. So the other thing that you brought up that I think is actually fascinating, I hadn't thought about is um
Well, we just
just
had a
the overall.
synchronization moment of like the hat
Yeah,
adjustment and
they had the
arms
hat,
down.
hat adjustment.
Yeah.
The pool of players who are grinding league at so like I never really thought about it this way, right? But like how many people are playing basketball as much as professional basketball players? Compare that to how many people are playing league as much as professional league players. It has to be a vastly larger pool of people for league, even though, it's easy to dismiss everybody who's like, below the top 1% as not being relevant, but it's actually not the case, right? Because the 14-year-old who is diamond is coming for you,
Yeah.
right? Like they are on their way to challenging you, the pro LCS player, not too
And they
long from now.
actually can kind of directly do that because of the ladder
Right.
system. It's not like they
Yeah, they
have
can
to.
show up in your
Right.
games.
Right.
Whereas in NBA, you have to be scouted, you have to be, like somebody has to find you and then offer you a contract for
Yeah.
you to
There's a
actually
lot
play
that
against
goes into
LeBron
it.
James.
Meanwhile, in league, you've got a system telling you how good you are, and it will seed you into those same games as long as you're good enough. So, yeah, it's
Right.
it's it's kind of insane. And I made that point really about video games as a whole. It's an old point from Blake Robbins, right? Blake Robbins talked about this
Mhm.
so much, where he's like, esports is a really interesting market because so many more people play, but so many more people think they can go pro also.
Mhm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
people think being a pro gamer is like easier than a pro athlete, and that's actually probably not true. You
Right.
know? So just percentages wise. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But the point of this is burnout is just going to be part of it. And that's sad because it's bad for everyone's mental health and physical health, right? Like
Right.
you're watching people spend they're they're using their mental health bar as a resource, Jordan. Your favorite saying, but that's
No
what they're
way.
doing when they grind,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
And just
Yeah.
who has the biggest mental health bar is basically who ends up winning, and there's virtually no way around. You have to be so insanely gifted to not be subjected to that, and to be like, no,
Well,
I can take time off. I can, avoid playing solo queue or whatever. So
everybody knows the solution to having an inadequate mental health bar is just to build brain thirster. Got to build your BT, and then you can steal your mental health from the enemy. Cool.
brain thirster. Oh gosh, this got off the rails for sure. We should end. We should end. So yeah, I guess we'll put this out as a pod.
Sure,
Chat seemed to like it. I'll grab the audio and put this out as a pod. But this was just a random stream. It's good to see everybody hang out, talk about what's happening. Again, we will tease that Jungle Juice is going to be on the pod next Monday. So 8:30 Central, we will have Jungle Juice. We will hopefully have an announced roster to talk about with him. But even if we don't, we'll have plenty of good conversation. Jungle Juice has been on the pod a few times, and it has been awesome every time. I feel like I learned so much from talking to him, and he's such an OG for 100 Thieves. He's like the oest of G's. So yeah, it's going to be really fun, and we'll make sure you guys get a few reminders of that. In the meantime, everybody, enjoy your holiday week. And we will say, as we always do at this time, we love you and we miss you already.
Take care.